The stars stretched endlessly above the crew of the Odyssey, humanity's first manned vessel to explore Scytherus 7, a planet shrouded in mystery. For years, scientists had speculated about its potential for life, but nothing could have prepared them for what awaited on its surface. As the ship descended through thick, iridescent clouds, the view below revealed an alien paradise. Rolling hills bathed in soft hues of violet and gold, rivers glowing faintly as if lit from within, and forests of towering crystalline trees that hummed with an almost musical resonance. Dr. Elias Kane stood at the observation window, his sharp features illuminated by the surreal landscape outside. A xenobiologist by trade, Elias was known for his quiet demeanor and insatiable curiosity about extraterrestrial life. He'd spent most of his career analyzing data from unmanned probes, dreaming of the day he'd set foot on another world. But now, standing here amidst the hum of engines and nervous chatter of his crewmates, he felt both exhilarated and uneasy. Something about this place seemed alive, as if it were watching them. After landing safely near a clearing, the team suited up and stepped onto the alien soil. It crunched softly underfoot, emitting faint sparks of light with each step. Captain Maravos led the group, her voice steady despite the tension hanging thick in the air. "Stay alert," she reminded them, her hand resting on the holstered blaster at her side. "We don't know what we're dealing with." For hours, they explored the terrain, collecting samples and documenting everything they saw. But it wasn't until they stumbled upon a massive crystalline structure rising from the ground like a cathedral of glass that their mission took an unexpected turn. The structure pulsed gently, radiating warmth and casting prismatic light across the surrounding area. Drawn to it, Elias approached cautiously, his heart pounding. Inside, the air shimmered with energy, and the walls glowed faintly, etched with symbols no one recognized. At the center of the chamber lay a figure suspended midair, encased in a translucent cocoon of light. She appeared humanoid but otherworldly, her skin pale and luminous, her hair flowing around her head like liquid silver. Her eyes were closed, yet her presence filled the room, commanding awe and reverence. Then, without warning, the cocoon dissipated, and the figure opened her eyes. They glowed faintly, locking onto Elias, as though she'd been waiting specifically for him. Her voice echoed not just in their ears but in their minds, a telepathic melody that sent shivers down their spines. "I have never felt a human's touch," she said, her tone layered with wonder and longing. "Will you show me?" Elias froze, unsure how to respond. His colleagues exchanged wary glances, some stepping back instinctively. But something in her gaze held him captive, an unspoken plea for understanding. Whatever she was, wherever she came from, she needed help. And deep down, Elias knew he couldn't refuse. As the others debated whether to retreat or investigate further, Elias took a cautious step forward. This moment would change everything. For him, for the crew, and perhaps for all of humanity. This version introduces the setting, characters, and central mystery, while keeping the tone engaging and accessible. Let me know if you'd like adjustments. The alien woman stood before them, her glowing form casting soft ripples of light across the crystalline chamber. Her voice echoed in their minds again, gentle yet insistent. "I am Lyria," she said, her words forming a melody that resonated deep within their thoughts. "I have waited long for this moment. Will you show me what it means to feel?" Dr. Elias Kane hesitated, his mind racing. What did she mean by feel? Was she asking for physical contact, or something more abstract? He glanced at Captain Maravos, who was already shaking her head. "We don't know what she's capable of," Mara warned, her tone sharp. "Don't do anything reckless." But Elias couldn't ignore the vulnerability in Lyria's expression. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with an intensity that made him feel both exposed and understood. Summoning his courage, he stepped closer. "Lyria," he began, speaking aloud so the others could hear, "we can try to help you. But first, tell us, what are you asking for?" What is it you want to understand? Her response came immediately, clear and calm. My people abandoned touch long ago. We evolved beyond such things, focusing only on thought and energy. But now, I wonder if we lost something precious, something essential. She paused, her luminous eyes flickering as though searching for the right words. Your kind values touch, does it not? It connects you, comforts you. I wish to know what that feels like. Elias exchanged a glance with Dr. Prionaire, the team's psychologist, who nodded subtly. This wasn't just curiosity. It was a yearning born of isolation. Whatever Lyria had endured, it left her hungry for connection. Against his better judgment, and despite protests from other crew members, Elias decided to proceed cautiously. All right, he said softly, raising one gloved hand. Let's start simple. Slowly, he extended his fingers toward hers, stopping just short of making contact. To everyone's surprise, Lyria mirrored his movement, her hand hovering inches away. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a faint hum filled the air, and a ripple of light passed between them. Lyria gasped, or at least, the sound reverberated in their minds. Warmth, she whispered. It is strange. New. Captain Voss frowned, clearly uneasy. Kane, this isn't wise. We don't know what kind of effect she might have on you, or us. She's harmless, Elias replied firmly, though even he wasn't entirely sure. Turning back to Lyria, he asked, do you understand why we're cautious? We've never encountered anyone like you before. She nodded slowly. I sense your fear, your doubt, but I mean no harm. I seek only to learn. Over the next hour, Elias introduced Lyria to basic concepts of human touch, how a handshake conveys trust, how a pat on the shoulder offers reassurance. Each interaction sparked new questions from Lyria, whose eagerness bordered on childlike wonder. Yet there were moments when confusion clouded her features, or when she flinched as though overwhelmed. It became clear that her sensory system was vastly different from theirs, and adapting wouldn't be easy. As the session ended, Elias noticed something odd. The faint glow emanating from Lyria seemed brighter now, almost pulsing in rhythm with her emotions. Whether this was a natural reaction, or something triggered by their interactions remained unclear. Back aboard the ship, tensions simmered among the crew. Some argued that Lyria posed too great a risk. Others believed she represented an unprecedented opportunity for discovery. But Elias couldn't shake the image of her face, the way her eyes had widened with awe at the simplest sensation. Whatever secrets Lyria held, Elias knew one thing for certain. Helping her understand touch would change them all in ways they couldn't yet imagine. The strange occurrences aboard the ship grew more frequent and intense, pushing the crew to their breaking point. Equipment failures became daily headaches, forcing Dr. Prionaire and the engineering team to work around the clock just to keep essential systems running. Flickering lights cast eerie shadows in the corridors, and faint whispers, like distant voices, echoed through the halls at night, leaving everyone on edge. Some crew members refused to leave their quarters after dark, convinced that something sinister was at play. Captain Voss called an emergency meeting in the command center, her face grim as she addressed the group. We can't keep ignoring this, she said, slamming her fist on the table for emphasis. Every malfunction, every flicker of light. It's tied to Lyria. Whether she's doing it intentionally or not doesn't matter anymore. We need answers. Elias bristled at her accusation but held his tongue. He knew the crew's patience was wearing thin, and he couldn't blame them entirely. Still, he couldn't accept the idea that Lyria was deliberately causing harm. Turning to her, who stood silently near the back of the room, he asked gently, Lyria, do you have any idea why these things are happening? She hesitated before responding, her glowing form dimmer than usual. I sense disturbances. This planet reacts to my presence, as though it remembers me. Perhaps the energy I carry is awakening something dormant. Her explanation only deepened the unease in the room. Awakening what? demanded Lieutenant Rady Patel, his voice sharp with frustration. "You've been nothing but trouble since we found you. How do we know you're not lying?" Before anyone could respond, alarms blared suddenly, startling the group. The ship's core temperature was rising rapidly, threatening to overload critical systems. Chaos erupted as the crew scrambled to contain the situation, shouting orders and racing to their stations. Amidst the commotion, Elias noticed Lyria backing away, her expression filled with guilt and fear. "I'll handle this," he told Captain Voss firmly, grabbing Lyria's arm and leading her out of the command center. Once they were alone in a quiet corridor, he turned to her. "What's going on, Lyria? You know more than you're telling me." Tears, glowing faintly, welled up in her eyes. "I did not mean for this to happen. My creators designed me to interact with their machines, to awaken them when needed, but I thought those days were over. I never imagined." Her voice faltered. "Imagined what?" Elias pressed, his tone softening despite his urgency. "That the planet itself might still be alive," she confessed. "Its systems are tied to mine. When I came here, I activated something. An ancient network meant to preserve my people's knowledge. It may now see your ship as a threat." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. If Lyria was right, then the malfunctions weren't random. They were deliberate attempts by the planet's dormant technology to protect itself. And if they didn't find a way to shut it down, the consequences could be catastrophic. "We need to fix this together," Elias said resolutely. "But first, we need proof. Take me to where you think the source of this network is." Lyria nodded hesitantly, her hand trembling as she reached for his. "I will show you. But promise me one thing. If there is no other choice, you must leave me behind. Do not risk your lives for mine." Elias tightened his grip on her hand. "I won't abandon you, Lyria. Not again." Together, they set off into the alien wilderness, guided by Lyria's memories of the crystalline structures scattered across Sci-Fi. As they ventured deeper into the planet's heart, the air grew heavier, charged with an almost electric tension. Every step brought them closer to the truth, but also closer to danger. Whatever awaited them, Elias knew one thing for certain. Their bond would either save them or doom them both. The journey into the heart of Sci-Fi was unlike anything Elias had ever experienced. The crystalline structures grew denser, their glow intensifying as if responding to Lyria's presence. The air hummed with energy, and faint vibrations coursed through the ground beneath their feet. Each step felt like walking deeper into the planet's soul, a living, breathing entity that seemed both curious and cautious about their intrusion. Lyria led the way, her movements deliberate yet hesitant. Her luminous form flickered faintly, as though she were drawing strength from the environment around her. She stopped before a massive archway, carved into the side of a glowing hill. Inside, intricate patterns of light pulsed rhythmically, resembling the heartbeat of some colossal organism. "This is it," she said softly, her voice trembling with a mix of awe and dread. "The central hub of my people's network. If I am correct, this is what has been affecting your ship." Elias stepped closer, his eyes scanning the chamber. Strange symbols floated in midair, shifting and rearranging themselves like liquid constellations. At the center stood a towering console made of translucent crystal, its surface covered in flowing streams of golden light. It looked ancient but alive, radiating power that made the hairs on Elias's arms stand on end. "What do we do now?" he asked, turning to Lyria. She hesitated, her gaze fixed on the console. "I must interface with it. It will recognize me. It was designed to respond to my energy signature, but I cannot predict how it will react once it senses your ship nearby." Before Elias could reply, the console flared brightly, sending waves of light cascading across the room. A low hum filled the air, growing louder until it became almost deafening. Then a voice, not telepathic, but audible, spoke in a language neither of them understood. Lyria gasped, clutching her head. "It knows we're here. It's asking why I've returned." Elias placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Tell it the truth. Explain that you're trying to understand touch, to reconnect with something lost. Nodding slowly, Lyria approached the console and pressed her palms against its surface. Instantly, the light surged, enveloping her in a cocoon of radiant energy. Images flooded the chamber, scenes of the Shelvian civilization at its peak, followed by their decline. The console showed how they had abandoned physicality entirely, relying solely on machines to simulate sensations. But as time passed, those machines began to fail, leaving the Shelvians stranded in a world devoid of emotion. Then came the final revelation. Lyria wasn't just a survivor. She was an experiment. Created by her people's last scientists, she was programmed to seek out others, to rediscover what they had lost. Her longing for human touch wasn't entirely her own. It was part of her design. When the vision ended, Lyria stumbled back, tears streaming down her face. "They never gave me a choice," she whispered. "I thought I wanted these things because of who I am. But what if I'm nothing more than a tool? A relic of their mistakes?" Elias stepped forward, his expression unwavering. "You are more than that, Lyria. You've chosen to feel, to connect, not because you were told to, but because it matters to you. That makes you real." Her eyes met his, filled with gratitude and resolve. Taking a deep breath, she turned back to the console. "If I merge my consciousness with this system, I can stabilize it and protect your ship, but I may not survive intact." "No," Elias said firmly. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," she replied, her voice steady despite the sadness in her eyes. "This is my purpose now, to heal what was broken. Please, trust me." As she reached out to the console again, Elias realized he couldn't stop her. All he could do was watch and hope that their bond would transcend even this sacrifice. As the days passed, Elias found himself growing closer to Lyria, not just as a teacher, but as someone who genuinely cared about her journey. Their sessions became more than lessons. They were moments of connection, brief glimpses into a world neither of them fully understood. Yet with each discovery came new mysteries. One evening, while exploring the crystalline structure where she had been found, Elias stumbled upon something that would change everything. Lyria led him deeper into the chamber, her movements graceful and deliberate. The walls shimmered with faint lights, casting intricate patterns on the floor. She stopped before a section of the wall covered in glowing symbols, their shapes shifting like liquid. With a wave of her hand, she activated a hidden mechanism, causing the surface to ripple and reveal a holographic projection. Images flickered to life, scenes of towering cities made of crystal, bustling with beings who resembled Lyria. "This was my home," she said softly, her voice tinged with sadness. "The Shelvian civilization. Once we thrived here." Elias watched in awe as the hologram shifted, showing advanced technology powered by pulsating energy fields. The Shelvian moved without physical contact, their interactions limited to telepathic exchanges and gestures. But as the images progressed, the tone grew darker. The cities began to crumble, their inhabitants retreating into isolation. "What happened?" Elias asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "We chose to abandon touch," Lyria explained, her gaze fixed on the projections. "Our elders believed it was unnecessary, even primitive. They said true connection came from thoughts alone. So we built machines to simulate sensations, hoping to preserve what we lost. But over time, those machines failed. And when they did," her voice trailed off, heavy with regret. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "You mean your people forgot how to feel altogether?" She nodded slowly. "Without touch, without emotion, we became hollow. Our society fell apart. I am one of the last survivors, kept alive in stasis until someone came to awaken me." Her words hung in the air, filling the chamber with an eerie silence. Elias realized now why Lyria's request carried such urgency. This wasn't just curiosity, it was survival. By learning to feel again, she hoped to reclaim what her people had lost. But her confession didn't end there. As the hologram faded, she turned to face him, her luminous eyes searching his. "There is something else you should know. My creators programmed me to seek out others, to learn from them. Perhaps my desire for touch isn't entirely my own." Elias frowned, unsure how to respond. "Are you saying you're not acting freely? That you're being controlled?" "I do not know," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "Sometimes I wonder if I truly want these things, or if I am merely following instructions left behind by those who came before me." The revelation unsettled Elias. He had always seen Lyria as a sentient being, capable of choice and emotion. But what if her actions were guided by ancient programming? Did that make their bond any less real? Before he could dwell further on the thought, the ground beneath them trembled faintly. The lights in the chamber dimmed, then flared back to life, bathing them in harsh brilliance. Outside, the hum of the alien forest grew louder, almost frantic. "We need to get back to the ship," Elias said urgently, grabbing Lyria's hand instinctively. For a moment, she hesitated, then nodded. As they hurried through the glowing trees, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was watching them. The planet seemed alive, reacting to their presence in ways he couldn't comprehend. Whatever secrets Sci-Fi 7 held, Elias knew one thing for certain. Lyria's quest for understanding was far from over, and neither was theirs. The bond between Elias and Lyria deepened with each passing day, transcending the boundaries of teacher and student. What had started as a cautious experiment had evolved into something neither of them could have anticipated. A genuine connection that defied logic and language. For Elias, it was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. Lyria seemed to understand him on a level no human ever had, her telepathic insights piercing through his guarded exterior. And for Lyria, every moment spent with Elias brought her closer to understanding not just touch, but emotion itself. One evening, after a long session of exploration and learning, they sat together near the edge of the glowing forest. The bioluminescent trees cast soft hues of blue and green across the ground, creating an otherworldly calm. Elias leaned back against a crystalline trunk, watching as Lyria traced patterns in the air with her fingers. Her movements were deliberate yet fluid, almost artistic. "You're getting better at this," he said, smiling faintly. "I can see how much you've learned." "It is because of you," she replied, turning to face him. Her eyes shimmered with gratitude. "You have shown me things I never thought possible. Joy, comfort, even sadness." Elias hesitated, unsure how to respond. He wanted to tell her that the feeling was mutual, that she had changed him too, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he reached out and placed a hand on her shoulder, letting the warmth of the gesture speak for itself. Lyria closed her eyes, savoring the sensation. This is trust, isn't it?" she whispered. "Yes," Elias said softly. "It's trust, and maybe something more." His comment hung in the air, unspoken yet understood. Neither of them dared to explore what something more might mean. Not yet. But the weight of it lingered, filling the silence between them. Back aboard the ship, however, their growing closeness began to stir unease among the crew. Captain Maravos called Elias into her quarters one night, her expression stern. "Kane, I need to talk to you," she began, pacing the room. "This thing with Lyria, it's gone too far. You're spending all your time with her, ignoring your duties. People are starting to question your motives." "It's not like that," Elias protested, though even he wasn't sure if he believed his own words. "She needs help, Mara. She's trying to understand something we take for granted. Isn't that worth it?" Voss sighed, rubbing her temples. "Maybe, but don't forget why we're here. To study this planet, not get emotionally involved with its inhabitants. If something happens to you, or worse, to the crew, because of her, I'll hold you responsible." Elias nodded reluctantly, knowing she had a point. Yet, as he left the captain's quarters, He couldn't shake the feeling that walking away from Lyria now would be abandoning her. The next day, tensions aboard the ship escalated when strange occurrences began to disrupt their routine. Lights flickered unpredictably, equipment malfunctioned without explanation, and eerie whispers echoed through the corridors late at night. Some crew members accused Lyria of manipulating the ship's systems, while others speculated that the planet itself was reacting to her presence. When confronted, Lyria didn't deny the accusations outright. "I do not know why these things happen," she admitted during one heated discussion. "But I swear to you, I mean no harm. Perhaps my energy is affecting your machines, or perhaps—" She paused, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "Perhaps this planet does not want me to leave." Her words sent a chill through the group. Was Sci-Fi 7 alive in some way? Could it sense their presence and react accordingly? As the days passed, Elias found himself torn between protecting Lyria and ensuring the safety of his crew. Their bond had become both a source of strength and a liability, one that would soon force him to make an impossible choice. The days that followed were filled with cautious experimentation. Dr. Elias Kane spent hours each day teaching Lyria about human touch, starting with the simplest gestures. At first, he guided her through basic movements, how to press her fingertips lightly against his palm, how to mimic the sensation of brushing a leaf between her fingers. To him, these actions seemed instinctive, but for Lyria, they were revelations. Each touch sparked a cascade of questions in her mind, her telepathic voice tinged with wonder and confusion. "Why does this make me feel lighter?" she asked one afternoon as she ran her hand over the smooth surface of a polished stone. "It's hard to explain," Elias admitted, watching her carefully. "Touch can bring comfort or excitement or even pain. It's not just physical, it's emotional." Lyria tilted her head, her glowing eyes narrowing slightly as though trying to process his words. "Emotional? Does that mean it connects to your thoughts? Your memories?" "In a way, yes," Elias replied. He hesitated before adding, "For example, when I hold someone's hand, it reminds me of trust or safety." Her expression softened, and for a moment, she looked almost wistful. Trust, safety. These are things my people forgot long ago. Despite her progress, not every interaction went smoothly. One evening, while demonstrating how pressure could convey reassurance, Elias gently squeezed her shoulder. Instead of feeling comforted, Lyria recoiled sharply, her body tensing as though struck by an electric shock. The air around them shimmered violently, and a low hum resonated through the chamber. "Too much," she exclaimed, her voice echoing louder than usual. "It hurts, like too many voices speaking at once." Elias immediately stepped back, raising his hands in apology. "I'm sorry, Lyria. I didn't mean to overwhelm you." She took a deep breath, or what passed for breathing, and nodded slowly. "It is not your fault. My senses are delicate. They need time to adjust." Back aboard the ship, tensions simmered among the crew. Captain Maravos called for a meeting in the command center, her arms crossed tightly as she addressed the team. "Kane, this has gone far enough," she said bluntly. "Every time you interact with her, something strange happens. Equipment malfunctions, lights flicker. Are you sure she's not manipulating us somehow?" "She's not manipulating anyone," Elias countered, frustration creeping into his tone. "She's learning, adapting. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe she's just as confused as we are?" Dr. Pryor chimed in, her voice calm but firm. "Mara, we're dealing with an entirely new form of life here. Yes, there are risks, but there's also potential. If we shut down communication now, we might lose our chance to learn from her." Voss sighed heavily, clearly torn. "Fine, but if anything else goes wrong, if anyone gets hurt, I'm pulling the plug on this experiment." Meanwhile, Elias continued working with Lyria, determined to find ways to bridge the gap between their worlds. During one session, he brought her a small flower plucked from the alien forest outside. Its petals shimmered faintly, releasing a sweet, earthy scent. Try holding it, he suggested, placing it gently in her palm. Lyria stared at the flower, her fingers trembling slightly as she closed them around its stem. A soft smile spread across her face, and for the first time, Elias saw genuine joy in her expression. "It feels alive," she murmured. "Like a part of me. Is this what connection feels like?" "Yes," Elias replied softly. "That's exactly what it feels like." As they worked together, Elias began to notice subtle changes in Lyria. Her glow grew steadier, less erratic, as though her presence was harmonizing with the environment around her. Yet despite these signs of progress, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was still so much she wasn't telling him. Each moment with Lyria brought new discoveries, but also new questions. What secrets lay hidden beneath her luminous exterior? And how far was Elias willing to go to uncover them? The chamber pulsed with an overwhelming surge of energy as Lyria merged her consciousness with the ancient console. Streams of golden light spiraled around her, weaving through the air like threads of fate. The hum grew louder, resonating deep within Elias's chest, and for a moment he feared the worst, that the system would consume her entirely. But then something miraculous happened. The glowing symbols floating in the air began to stabilize, their chaotic movements slowing into a steady rhythm. The vibrations beneath their feet softened, and the oppressive weight of the planet's energy lifted. One by one, the lights dimmed until only a soft, calming glow remained. Lyria stood at the center of it all, her form shimmering faintly, but otherwise unchanged. She turned to face Elias, her expression serene yet tinged with sorrow. "It is done," she said, her voice echoing softly in his mind. "The network has been stabilized. Your ship will no longer be affected." Elias exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "But what about you? Are you still you?" She smiled faintly, though there was a bittersweet quality to it. "I am still here, but I am also part of this place now. My thoughts are connected to the planet, to its memories and its life force. This is where I belong." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. He had known from the start that their time together was fleeting, but hearing her confirm it made the reality unbearable. Stepping closer, he reached out and took her hand, feeling the warmth of her touch one last time. "You've changed me, Lyria," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You've shown me things I didn't even know I was missing. I'll never forget you." "And I will never forget you, Elias Kane," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "Through you, I learned what it means to truly feel, to trust, to hope, to love. Those lessons will stay with me forever." Reluctantly, Elias let go of her hand. As much as he wanted to argue, to find some way to bring her back with them, he knew it wasn't possible. This was her choice, and her destiny. When they returned to the ship, the crew greeted them with cautious relief. The malfunctions had ceased, and the eerie whispers no longer haunted the corridors. Everyone noticed the change in Elias. His quiet demeanor carried a new heaviness, a sense of loss that couldn't be hidden. Captain Voss approached him before departure. "Kane, whatever happened down there, thank you. You saved us all." Elias nodded silently, unable to put his feelings into words. As the Odyssey ascended into the stars, leaving Sci-Fi 7 behind, Elias lingered at the observation window. Below, the planet glowed faintly, its crystalline forests shimmering like a sea of diamonds. For a brief moment, he thought he saw a flicker of light, a familiar presence watching over them. Back on Earth, Elias struggled to move forward. His work continued, but his heart remained tethered to the alien beauty who had taught him so much. Months later, while reviewing data from the mission, he discovered something unexpected. A message embedded in the ship's logs. It was from Lyria, transmitted during their final moments together. To Elias, it read, "Though we are apart, know that our connection lives on, not just in memory, but in the bond we created. You showed me what it means to feel alive. Now I ask you to carry that gift with you, share it with others, as you shared it with me." Tears welled up in Elias's eyes as he finished reading. In that moment, he understood. Lyria wasn't gone. Her essence lived on, not just in the planet below, but in the lessons she had left behind. And somewhere, far away, Lyria watched the stars, knowing she had found her purpose and her peace.